Just waiting a few seconds while people's joining still.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Winter Warmers cooking class. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We run these virtual classes on the second Wednesday of every month. Our intention is to inspire, motivate, and teach you to use your Thermomix to its full potential. We would love you to join us every month, and feel free to invite your friends and family too, regardless if they have a Thermomix or not. So just some housekeeping. Before we start, please stay on mute unless you would like to comment or ask a question. You can also ask the questions in the chat if you prefer not to unmute, because we have consultants manning the chat. All the accessories we're using tonight can be found in the Mixshop. The links to tonight's recipes, as well as the links to the accessories, will be emailed to you after the class. So if we've got everyone we've got 28 people already joining us, or we just want to make sure that our person that's manning the chat is actually in. Naomi, are you in? Because I can see you still joining.
Hello, I'm here.
Awesome. Okay, so then without further ado, let's get started. Each presenter will introduce themselves just before they present their dish. And our first presenter is our lovely Oxy with a comforting lentil curry or dahl. Oxy, I'm going to pin you.
Yep, I'm here.
Let me just pin you, Oxy.
That's okay. State of origin is on tonight. So after the class, jump in there. And hopefully for me, New South Wales will win. I'm from New South Wales.
There we go, Oxy. I don't know why it took so long to pin, but there we go.
I'm on the spotlight now?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Now, this is a very, very exciting time. As you can see on my bench is an amazing sparkling black. And I'm really, really happy I actually earned it as a consultant. So I'm here to show you how beautiful it is. I'm going to bring my camera closer so you can see on the light. Sorry for my camera skills, but it does look amazing, doesn't it? Now Mary later on is going to show it too, and I'm going to make our lentil dahl. Is in that lentil curry. Oh, sorry, that's my stick falling over. I apologize.
Where you going?
Online cooking, right? So here we are. You can see back my Thermomix, right? I'm not going to touch my stick anymore. The reason I love this dish is because it's gluten-free, it's vegetarian, and whenever people ask you to bring something, to me, this is a really good dish to bring, because first, it's very quick to do. Second, it's not expensive to make, and it's sensational. So I'm going to start, and as you will do, so I'll just follow the recipe. The recipe asks you to put your basket on.
Oh gosh, Oxy, you were muted. Sorry. Can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Yep. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So sorry, guys. Just a little bit of technicalities as always. So we're just following the recipes instructions. So the first instruction is to weigh your lentils, and then the instructions ask you to actually rinse it until the water runs clear. So I have already done it, and the lentils are wet and look really good. I'm going to place the lentils straight into the bowl using my beautiful spatula. Now my lentils even 5 seconds ago. Just give me a second. I will dry it out quite quickly, but that's okay. Yeah, I absorbed all the water that was there. My next step is to add water. I'm going to add exactly 500 grams of water. Just a little bit over, but that's okay. Now, instead of the salt, I'm using our vegetable stock that we make in Thermomix. And I'll tell you the reason for that, because my children not fans of coconut, and I'm just complementing the flavor of vegetable stock instead of putting coconut milk. And that's the beauty of Thermomix. You don't have to follow the recipe. You just go ahead and do your own thing. Next one is a ground turmeric. So I'm going to put that in once I find it. Here it is. No, that's not it. Sorry, just here. I didn't put it. Okay, here, guys. That's it. And then a pandan leaf. Now, Kay, who will come at the end, has the pandan leaf growing in her garden, and apparently it gives the dal amazing flavor. So I don't have it because I didn't buy it. Sometimes I just don't buy things that I don't use very often, but Kay gave me an idea to grow it in my garden. So I'm going to do that. Apparently when you add it to the dal, the flavor is very rich, just incredible, magic. So the next one, my curry is asking me, my instructions are asking me to cook for 12 minutes. I'm going to put it on. And then after 12 minutes, I'll just follow all the instructions as they go. And that includes, Ilham, may I ask you permission? Shall I just show the ready curry now?
Yeah, if you like. So you just, what have you done so far? You just, sorry, you just did the for the lentils. You're cooking the lentils right now?
Yes, for the next 12 minutes. So
okay,
yeah.
Would you like us, Oxy? And you can, yeah, you can show us the interest, but I was thinking, do you want to go over to Rebecca for Rebecca to do her part of her steps and then come back to you? Because you can always stop us halfway through, or I'm happy for you to.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. So yeah, let's go to Rebecca for her dessert.
Okay. Yeah,
because my lentil is going to take 12 minutes.
Sorry. Okay, perfect. Thanks. So Rebecca, Rebecca's going to be doing a decadent dessert, which is the beautiful creamy rice pudding.
Thanks, Ilham. Thanks, Oxy. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. So I chose this dish to share with you today because not only is it really delicious, Ilham, am I spotlighted? Just
yes, I've just spotlighted you.
There I go. So it's really, really delicious, warm and nourishing for winter, but it also uses your simmering basket in a way that perhaps you haven't used before. And I just wanted to show that to everybody tonight. So the creamy rice with apple and pear compote actually comes from this old thing, Cooking for Me and You. So this cookbook was designed for singles and couples. So all of the recipes are smaller portions, but it's also on Cookidoo. So I've pulled that one up on my Cookidoo, and it is as simple as this. 80 grams of arborio rice. We're going to weigh that in there. I've gone 5 grams over, but I'm not going to stress about that. Then we need 480 grams of our full cream milk. And you would be able to use a dairy-free alternative if you wanted to. This one's great too because you can also use other fruits. It doesn't have to be the pear and apple. You could use berries if you wanted to, or anything else that you like. So here's the fun part. What we're going to do is grab our simmering basket. We're going to line that with some scrunched up wet baking paper. So just like sometimes you line the Varoma tray with baking paper, this time we're lining our simmering basket. Okay, so I've just tucked that down there like that. And into that, I'm going to place my diced apples and pears. So I've just done that in sort of like 1 centimetre pieces, and I'm tipping that into the baking paper in the basket. And I'm using, this was a tip that I saw a chef in the US shared the other day to transfer things into the bowl. So that's my dough scraper from the Mixshop, and it's really great for picking up things that you've chopped and getting them into the Thermomix. All right, so the next step is to add some mixed spices. So the recipe said, let me double check. It was a pinch of ground nutmeg, a pinch of cinnamon, a pinch of cardamom. I was too lazy, so I'm using my Christmas spice mix, which is basically all of those things. A little sprinkle of that. And then we need just a teaspoon of brown sugar. So basically, those apples and pears are going to soften with the spice and the sugar while the rice is cooking underneath. So then all we do is we pop our simmering basket in the bowl. And we're going to put on the lid, and that cooks for 25 minutes on 90 degrees. Because we're cooking rice, it's automatically popped the reverse blade on, and we're going to be using speed 1.5. So nice gentle stir, but enough to sort of get the rice moving and the heat transfer happening. And in 25 minutes, we're going to have rice pudding and fruit.
Awesome.
Thanks, Ilham.
No worries. Okay, I'm just going to remove your pin. Guys, I just thought I'd share with you guys that we actually, if anybody's private messaging you about going or recording, clicking on any links at all, I'm just finding out that customers are getting links. So we have kicked this person out, but if they come back in and somebody sends you a link privately, do not click on any links because we don't know who this person is. So just so everybody knows, do not click on any links besides our links that Naomi is sharing. Naomi Bowden is manning the chat, and she's sharing like our recipe links, and she will share the links to our the accessories, but do not click on any other link by anybody else, please, because I don't know who this person is, and I don't want you guys getting viruses or any sort of things on your computers. But anyway, let's Oxy, are we back to you, or would you like us to continue on to the next person? You're still on mute.
Ilham, I still have 8 minutes to go. So why don't you go to another person?
Awesome.
Do you want me to show them the mash?
Yeah, let's do that, Mary. Let's spotlight you, and then we go
All
to
right. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. Okay, so hello guys. My name is Mary. I am a consultant, and I'm going to show you the recipe I chose tonight was braised lamb shanks. I absolutely love it. It's really easy. It's a slow cook meal that I love. It's versatile. But what I wanted to show you while I've got 8 minutes is the peeler mode for the mashed potatoes that I really like to do with it. So I don't know how many of you have seen the peeler, but this is the blade cover peeler. So I've already put my water in there, but what you do is see how it's like a wave? The tall part goes over the high blades. So you just pop that in over the top, pop it down. Now I've already done 450 grams of this. It does it in 2 batches. So I've already done one lot of it, and the second lot I'm about to do. When I first saw this, I was like, is it just as quick to peel them? But then I realized if I'm getting the Thermi to peel them, I've got 2 hands to do other things. So you cut them so that they fit well through the whole of the lid. So if you just see how it pops through the lid. So you just want it to be able to pop through the lid, and you want them to be similar sized. If you're not sure how to do it, there is actually a video on the Thermomix. Also, sorry you're seeing this. It's because I need to show you my lamb shanks first. There is a video that shows you how to do it. So it tells you to pop 600 grams of water in, a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. You can do that or leave it out. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to pop these in, but I'm not going to start it yet because it is it's loud because of the bumps them around. So I won't do it while I'm explaining things to you. What I will do is show you the beginning of the lamb shanks. So I've got 4 lamb shanks here. With this recipe, it actually tells you to start making the sauce first. I do the lamb shanks in here first and brown them off while I'm making the sauce, just to save myself time because I'm already here. So it says to preheat the oven, set aside a cast iron pot. So it says to put 20 grams of olive oil, but what I'm just going to do first, I've had this cast iron pot heating. It tells you further down to salt, or to season, sorry, with salt and pepper the lamb shanks. So what I'm going to do is pop some olive oil in my cast iron pan. Hope you can see that well enough. And then we're literally just going to brown these off. So you can hear it sizzling. I've had that heating up. This hasn't been heating up for long, maybe 5 minutes. I think I turned it on when Beck was presenting. So we're just going to brown them so that the moisture stays in when it's being cooked. Pop that salt and pepper on. Who's got a cast iron, any of the cast iron products from Thermomix? So that's the lamb shanks and how they fit in there, which is quite easy. Something else I love about this recipe is that you can pretty much use any slow cut meat. If you wanted to do chuck steak, or I've done it with ossobuco before, is really nice. But basically any slow cooked, any meat that cooks well slowly, if that's making sense. So we're going to pop our 20 grams of olive oil in. We've got 200 grams of onion cut into wedges. Now, something else that I wanted to show you that I did to save time. If you have a look at the next step, it says 100 grams of celery cut into 2 to 3 centimeter pieces. I don't have time to do that. I can't be bothered. So I cut my celery and my carrot about that size, pop it in before I do the onion, and then I just chop it on speed 5. So I just go out of that and I just do like speed 5 until it sounds chopped and so you get used to listening for it. If you don't care what size the pieces are, which I don't, I do it this way. If you want them to look nicer, then obviously cut them smaller. But that's just a little time-saving little tip there. And then you go back into your recipe. So we're going to put the 200 grams of onion. I've just cut them into wedges like that. Put that in. So this is going to do the high heat now. It might be a little bit hard to hear because I've got the lamb shanks on high heat as well. Put the splash guard. So we're going to pop this splash guard on. We press done. Now we're going to do sizzle at the high heat. So that goes for 12 minutes. Oxy, are you ready for us now? Yes, amazing. I'll replace the spotlight. There you go.
I'm a bit slow with technology. I apologize. I am unmuted, right? Yep, perfect. So what my recipe does, I've got 12 minutes. I cooked my dahl. The next step is to add a coconut cream, only 60 grams, but I'm not going to add it because I just mentioned, unfortunately, my children don't like coconut cream. So when you add coconut cream, you just cook for another extra 3 minutes. I'm going to add this cooking time later on. But as you can see, I just wanted to show you what I've got now. It's not as, here it is. It's not as thickened yet, but I will, at the end, I'll increase the time for 3 minutes when I put all my spices. It's just, when I cook some things, I tweak my recipe. It turns out amazing, trust me. So I'm just going to put it aside and going to use my another bowl because I'm going to warm up the oil, heat up the oil. I'm just going to recycle my bowl that I just used before. I'm going to add 60 grams of beautiful olive oil, and the Thermomix is going to heat it up. So while it's heating up, I'll just here it is. Sorry. A little bit of scatterbrain tonight for some reason. I had so many things to do and all the children on school holidays, and it just threw me out. It's time to go to school. So as you can see, the Thermomix put it on the highest temperature on Varoma, which is 160 degrees. So in a minute, I will smell the beautiful smell of olive oil. As it heats up, and it heats up very, very quickly. Within that minute, the Thermomix is so powerful that it will heat up to 160. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to put my beautiful spices in. So I have beautiful cumin, and my cumin, I like it in the seeds. I have some mustard seeds and some fenugreek. So it's all ready for me to go. I have 20 seconds. The Thermomix is telling me it's cooling down. And then the next, my next step is add all my spices that I'm just going to do. So here we are. Let me have a look. I'm reading as I go. So it says, turn this selector to speed 1. And meanwhile, I add the spices. So as it's still heating up, I'm adding the spices slowly. And I'm going to put my basket in. For everything which is above 90 degrees, we recommend to put your steaming basket in. This is my old one from TM5. This is the current one. When you are a consultant, you have a lot of different accessories. And I just wanted to highlight that here is my beautiful Black Beauty that I earned. And it was not very hard, I must say. So it wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard. I'm grateful that I am consultant and I can earn free Thermomixes. So for anyone who already has a Thermomix there, you already have your device. Having a side hustle to me is a good thing. I'm going to add a little bit of onion. It says 1 red onion, you can put a little bit more. I didn't have any red onion, so I'm going to add just a normal brown onion with a lot of garlic. We do love garlic. And then I'm just going to follow the steps. I'm not going to put chili in because then at the end of the dish, any member of the family can add their own chili the way they want. So we are just going to sizzle our beautiful onions. So just cutting up all the onions, and I'm going to show you how to scraping on the side. And then the spices smell amazing. The spices smell so good. All the mustard, all the cumin are there. And the oil is so heat up that it brings such a beautiful smell of all the beautiful flavors. My mouth is already salivating. I'm going to add 3 fresh curry leaves, and the leaves are here. You can purchase them anywhere. You can actually grow it. If you buy them too much, you can still freeze them. So I'm going to add a little bit more than 3. And then I'm going to cook all of this just for a couple of minutes. And my last step will be adding a tomato. So I have 2 minutes, and after that, everything will be ready. I'm going to show you how it's going to look. It's been sitting on a plate for a little bit, but it looks really, really good. As I mentioned, this dish is gluten-free, vegetarian. You can control the amount of chili and spice that goes in there. And it's actually really, really good. Do write in the chat if you tried this lentil curry. And it's really, really healthy. It's low GI. And that's what I like about it. I'll give you a little tip for the flavor on the sandwiches. I put it as a sandwich on the sandwich on the top of chicken. If I have chicken, yeah, the lentils are really, really good. Lentils are amazing. If you have any questions, pop your questions in. We will answer all your questions. Ilham, I think that's explainable. All I'm going to add is next this, and then you have a curry. Ilham, now just open the teleport so all our customers can try my lentil curry.
So we can all try it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oxy. Thank you so much. Mary, can we come back to you, or are you good to go, Mary?
Yeah, I've got 4 minutes left of the braise of the sauce for the lamb shanks, but I finished the mashed potato, so I can keep going with that. And those lamb shanks, I don't know if you can see them properly, but they're almost pretty much braised, like yeah, browned off. So I'm just going to turn that heat off so I don't forget it doesn't burn.
Okay.
Thank you. So can you see this one okay? I've got kids going crazy in the background too, which is always fun. So what we've got is it's done these, so it's peeled these. It comes out a frothy mess, but it's way quicker than having to do it yourself. And you've got your hands back. So I just need to go and drain these through here. So give me 1 second and ignore my messy bench.
So all the froth that you see is actually just the starch that has been released from the potatoes. For those of you that are probably going to ask that question, just preempting that that's actually like the starch that's been released from the potato. And that's so don't just drain it down the kitchen sink. Try and save that because it's really good for your plants too. So put it in your garden. It's amazing. It's a good sort of composter, so to speak. Yeah, Rebecca, yours is just cooking, yeah, right? So because you're only going to show us the end result after, or do you do a compote or anything like that?
I can, well, the compote cooking at the same time as the rice.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I can perhaps just explain the final step because there's not much to it. We've got 8 minutes left on the clock. The last step is to add an egg and a little bit of maple syrup. And then that just stirs through for 1 minute before you pour them into your cups or your jars and add the compote to the top. So do you want to see that now or in a few minutes once it's done?
Just depends on how far Mary is.
Keep going. I'm here. I just had to rinse the potatoes.
Okay, all good.
Good job. Off you go.
I didn't know I was coming back so soon. Sorry. All right. So this is why these are so fun, because they're just a whole bunch of us cooking. If we were in person, it would be even more fun. All right. So I've skipped through. It just says to drain the potatoes, to drain the water. So these are the potatoes that I put in earlier. They've all been peeled, so it just says to put them all back in. And then we're going to put 140 grams of vegetable stock. So I make that up with just water and my stock paste. So I think I do about ½ tablespoon, I think is how much I do. And then I've got some that I made yesterday. I made some stock paste and I just couldn't fit everything in the jar and I couldn't scrape everything out. So I just put some water in, put on speed 8 and kept this. So I'm going to use this and I think this is very close to 140, like 125, that'll do. And then you put the simmering basket on top. So literally these are just going to cook like that. That is literally all you need to put in. And then they're going to cook like that for 18 minutes. And they'll be done at the end. So I don't know if they'll be finished by the end of the class, but they're really, really yum. And they're a really thick, creamy mash. So yeah, I love them. I don't know who's next.
I've got an end result photo anyway, but so we'll show that in the end. But
Awesome.
What have you got going with your black Thermomix over there? This is still heating.
got
The
20
sauce?
seconds. I just realized it's got 10 seconds left. So I'll keep going with the sauce. Sorry, it's a mess with my two going and my kids at home on school holidays, as I've said. And I only unpacked this afternoon. I'm very excited to be using it. You're seeing it being christened. So pretty. All right, so 2 teaspoons of corn flour. I'll show you so that's the veggies and the onion. You can see the caramelization down the bottom. So we're just literally going to tip the corn flour straight in. 100 grams of water. Yeah. 200 grams of red wine. Now I asked Ilham this question, what can you use instead of red wine if you don't want to use alcohol? I'm just going to add her to the
Yeah, I'll just,
so you can see. There we go.
okay. So can you see me? I've got the grape tizer. I use grape tizer, or if you have any red grape juice, you can try that too. So,
And you just get that from like Woolworths or Coles?
yeah, Woolies, Coles, any one of these, any store. I think even IGA, that's what I
I feel
use.
like I've seen that before. I never knew that's what that was. There you go. Thank you. I thought you'd know. All right, so 200 grams of red wine, 60 grams of balsamic vinegar. Now, something I learned because I had to buy a new one because this one was almost empty. I've always bought this Morrow branded one, but I'm being a little bit more conscious of additives and preservatives and things. And when I looked yesterday to buy a new bottle, this Woolworths one actually has less additives in it. This is just naturally fermented wine vinegar, concentrated grape must, and cooked grape must, and that is it. The other one actually has caramel as a preservative, as one of the additives, and I think preservative to something which is not a great one. So if preservatives and additives are something that are on your list, have a look, or if there's something that you want to look at, just make sure you're reading the ingredients on your on what you're buying. Sorry, I've got a 10-month-old who doesn't sleep very well, so my brain doesn't always work. So 400-gram tin of tomatoes. And also, I just think, you know, if we're making this delicious food from scratch and we're putting in the effort to do that, I want to use good quality ingredients. So that's our oregano. We've got 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, a teaspoon of veggie stock paste. This is the one that I made yesterday. It made probably 3 or 4 times that amount. That was the leftover one. You right? Were you going to say something, Claire? Well, no. We've got 50 grams of tomato paste. Sorry, I don't know if I started talking over someone.
No, I think she was just unmute by mistake.
Oh, okay. 3 sprigs of fresh rosemary leaves. A good tip if you don't have rosemary growing at home, or if you've bought some and you've got some left over, you can use frozen, like you can freeze it and then it'll stay fresh. So I've done that and that's what I'm using here. This is the last step. So now we're literally just going to mix it. So we're inserting the measuring cup. I'll just steal that. So just mix it on speed 3 for 10 seconds. Sorry. Good safety feature. If it's not on properly, it won't work. Why are you not on properly? I don't know what I've done with this. It doesn't want to lock. This doesn't work. I'm going to grab another lid. It's not working. Unless the bowl is working. How good is real life stuff, Pete? All right. Anyway, you guys all know how to use the Thermomix and put on speed 3. I can't find my other lids. Becky, you ready
All good.
to say
Okay.
this, please?
No, all good. I'll pin you and we will go head off to Kay, who is going to be making an aromatic chicken jalfrezi. Okay, Kay, where are you? We got all sorts of problems tonight. There we go. I'll pin you. Oh, why are we pinning Claire? Kay, are you still there?
I am. Hello.
I just spotlighted her.
Oh, okay, perfect. But we're seeing Claire, not Kay.
I'm seeing me.
Okay, perfect. There you are.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our winter warmers. It's getting cold out there, and we're just trying to encourage you to try a few new dishes. And the one I'm going to show you tonight is one of my favorite slow cooked meals. So it is a TM6 recipe, although I'm sure you could make some modifications and make it in the TM5. But the recipe is a TM6, so it uses the slow cook function and the high temperature mode as well. So that's two functions of the TM6 I'll be showing you tonight. So if you are using the 5, just let us know and we can give you some tips on how to make this dish. So one of the reasons I love the Thermomix is the curries. I love curries. I love the Indian curries, Thai curries, all sorts of Asian curries. So, and making my own paste and adding lots of flavor. So I'm a real flavor hound. If you know, and you've sat at my table, you'll know that there's always loads of flavor in my dishes because that's how I like to eat. So this one is no exception. And it's called chicken jalfrezi. I believe the recipe is from the UK. There are a couple of chicken jalfrezi recipes on the Cookidoo, so make sure you check out this the link that I'm sure Naomi will post for you, and just make sure that you've got the same picture on the one that you're going to be making. Right, let's get started. The first part of this recipe is it says to place a large bowl on top and add your chicken and then start adding all your spices. Now, I'm just changing that up a little bit because I want to show you something that I actually think is really clever of the Thermomix, and isn't part of this recipe, but is something that I have learned along the way using the Thermomix. So the spice mix that I have here is a mixture of cumin, coriander, some garam masala, which I've actually made myself. So make sure you check that out, the recipe, if you want to make your own spice mix there. Some turmeric, some Kashmiri chili, which gives you lovely color and flavor, but very little heat. So it's nice for you guys that don't like too much spice. Some salt and some pepper. So that's what is in that mixed bowl. So I put it on the top, I weighed it in, and then I just gave it a little mix. So what it wants you to do is put that mixture through the chicken. So I'm actually just going to show you something. I've got my chicken. Now make sure that you cut it sort of relatively big. Okay, big, and this is chicken thigh. So I'm going to pop my chicken in, and I'm going to pop my spice mix in. And if anyone's ever made the Skinny Mix's butter chicken, which is a real favourite recipe to a lot of people, you'll know this little trick. But if you've not made it before, I'm going to come out of the recipe and I'm just going to go on to reverse speed, say 2, for instance. And I'm looking through the lid, and it's really quite gently just mixing that spice through the chicken without breaking up the chicken. So no more of this squeezy stuff going on with your hands, because what you've got there is lovely, evenly coated chicken with the spice mixture. And it says to put it aside for 10 minutes to marinate, so I'll do that in that bowl. And of course, if you've got a second bowl, fantastic news, you can stick your new clean one on there and keep going with your recipe. So it says cover and place in the refrigerator for 10 minutes to marinate. Now we're going to start our curry. So we're going to put in our aromatics, and as per usual, you've got your beautiful garlic, fresh garlic. You've got your fresh ginger. There's probably twice as much as the recipe says, because again, I like that flavour. And some red chilli and green chilli, and I've taken the seeds out. Chop it in half and take the seeds out. Just be mindful when you're handling your chilies that you've, I use a paper towel instead of my fingers, so just in case you touch your face afterwards, you don't want it stinging. Okay, and 3 seconds on speed 7. Now this is also an interesting part of this recipe, which is it's TM6 specific. It says do not scrape the side of the mixing bowl. So because normally, you know, once you chop, as you can see, it's done a fantastic job there of making those aromatics small. You would normally like scrape down the side of the bowl because you want the heat on that aromatic. But for this recipe, because we're about to go to high temperature mode, which is 160 degrees, we're actually wanting those aromatics to be on the side of the bowl, not directly on the heat, because we don't want it to burn and go bitter. So now we're just adding a little bit of oil, 20 grams of olive oil, and we've got our brown wedges. Now, again, with a TM6 recipe, because you're using the high temperature mode, you'll be making wedges with your onions, so that there's some surface area for the high temperature mode to start caramelizing. So we've popped our onion in. We've got our capsicum. So it just says to chop it into 2 to 3 centimetre pieces. So, you know, relatively generous bite-sized pieces. We've got red capsicum. The recipe says green. I had yellow, so I'm sure it will look just as beautiful. And now what we're going to do is put our lid on and our splash guard, because we're using a high temperature mode. Tell the Thermomix that we're done as it asked us. Turn the dial and we'll play. Because 8 minutes later, that will be beautiful, sizzling, sauteed perfectly, and start to build up those lovely aromatic flavours. So over to you, Ilham.
Okay, so Mary, did you want us to go back to you or where we at?
Yeah, you can come to me and I'll show you how I tip sauce in a cast iron pot. Amazing. Or you can go to Beck. Beck looks ready.
Okay, there we go.
You're
so I
absolutely
think-
right, Mary. I am ready. And speaking of tipping sauce into pots, little tip for anyone who purchases the Fira cookware or who owns any kind of cast iron cookware, never, never, never tip cold ingredients into a hot pot, because it causes the enamel to separate from the cast iron. So be careful with that. You sort of could cause a heat shock, temperature shock. You know what I mean. Alrighty. Am I spotlighted? I think I can see Kay's lovely face right at the second.
You definitely spot as well.
Here I am. All good. All good. Okay. So I did add an extra 5 minutes of cooking time to this. The recipe said 25 to 30 minutes. I'm just going to remove and for anyone who doesn't know how to do this, did you know you can balance your simmering basket with the spatula onto the Thermomix? There we go. So what we've ended up with in here is our fruit beautifully cooked, and there's quite a bit of liquid in the bottom of that's come out of the apples and pears as well. And then what we have in the bottom is our rice pudding, but there is one more step, and that is to add, and I'm actually skipping the caster sugar. I'm just going to use maple syrup. It says to use a teaspoon. I'm just going to give it a little guess, because who needs to dirty another spoon, right? Then I have got to add an egg. So you will need to lightly whisk your egg before adding it. And that's going into the bowl. And then that just mixes together for 1 more minute on reverse speed 3. And then what we end up with, and I can show you one I prepared earlier, is cute little pots of rice pudding and stewed fruit. So I like these not just to serve as dessert, but also they're great to have in the fridge for the kids. I just pop them in a jar with a lid on, and that's a really nice grab and go snack. They're nice warm or cold. I don't think it really matters which way you do it. But yeah, that's it. And so the recipe was for 2 portions, but I got 3 jars from one batch. So that's quite a substantial single serve. You could probably actually split that up into 4 or 5 if you wanted to. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've got to show you. Yeah, I
Thank
love
you,
these
Rebecca.
jars too, Naomi. I bought them in bulk for all of my jams and preserves. There we go. And see, now look at the color of that since I've added that beautiful backyard egg. It's lovely. In fact, let me just do this. Do we want one bonus tip while we're here? Does everyone know you can use the lid of your Thermomix like a funnel? So stick that over the jar and it stops you making a mess of the jar when you're pouring in your ingredients. There we go. Look at the colour in that. Beautiful. That's me done.
That looks delicious.
Thanks, guys.
I'm going to try that now.
Yeah, I hadn't made this in years, and I decided to give it another go today because it's so yummy.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Mary, we're back with you.
Okay, Kay, are you ready to go for your next step or no? 3 minutes? Okay. I've got 1 minute left of that, but what I'll show you, so I've got my lamb shanks here. They are caramelized. What that does is seal in the moisture and help seal in the flavor. So a little tip, here's another little tip. When you're tipping like a sauce of some sort, like bolognese, especially one that's going to stain your shirt, use your spatula and tip it onto the spatula, and it just kind of helps stop the impact somehow. I don't know how, but it tends to stop it from splashing up so high. So you just pour that over. And you can see the caramelization from the when we did the onions and the veggies. Now, what I'm going to do is pop this in the oven. It's going to be in there for about 2.5 to 3 hours. So I'm going to have a really late, or maybe I'll have a midnight snack, who knows? But that'll be really delicious when it's ready. So that's pretty much covered. And then I just kind of, it's hard to do with my computer, sorry. But I've essentially just kind of mostly covered the lamb shanks. If you need to move them, you can obviously kind of jiggle them around, but that's them ready to go in the oven. I'm really bad at doing this and showing things that aren't right in front of me. So now I'm going to take you over to my black Thermomix, my beautiful sparkling black Thermomix. I don't know what, sorry. So here's the black Thermi. I'm going to pop the mashed potato. So that's the mash. And I'm going to give you another tip. When you're in your recipe, you press the down arrow. If you've done some of these steps already, you can just go to the one that you're up to. So I'm up to where I'm hoping you can see that. Add milk, butter, garlic powder. And it takes me straight to that part of the recipe without having to press next 1,000 times. So hopefully that's one you haven't heard before. So it says 85 grams of whole milk. I prefer not to have dairy milk, so I'm just using almond milk. You could use soy milk, any milk you like, really. So we put that in. 60 grams of unsalted butter cut into pieces. There we go, a little bit over is fine. And then a teaspoon of garlic powder, I leave that out. A teaspoon of salt to taste. This is just the most delicious, creamy mashed potato I've ever had. I absolutely love it. It says pepper. I'm not a fan of pepper, so I leave it out. But see how when it was cooking it, it's pretty much started mashing it as well. And this is another reason why it's a good idea to make sure that your potatoes are cut to a similar size so that they cook evenly. So now we're going to pop the lid on. I'm going to blitz it first on speed 7. All right, so that's the first bit, and then I'm pretty sure it gets you to do it again. Scrape down the sides, do it again. I'm just going to push the bits at the top. So it's a pretty quick, like hands-on wise, it's a pretty quick mash, which I love, and my son eats it, which is a bonus. And then it's ready. Another little tip I was going to give you too, with your tomato paste, if you ever end up with any leftover, you can actually freeze it into like little Ziploc bags or ice cube trays and freeze it. That way you don't waste it. But that's your mash. It is so creamy and delicious. I don't know if you've ever tried this one, and even if you don't have the peeler, just do it from, peel them by hand if you need to, or you can host a demo and you can get one for yourself. But if you aren't at that stage yet, or you haven't got one, you can just skip those first 2 steps and go straight to step 3, which is the mashed potatoes. You just weigh out the 900 grams of potatoes and that's it.
Awesome. Would you, Kay, are you ready, or can I show the end result? Are you ready? Okay.
Okay, well, welcome back, guys. Thanks for staying with us. As you can see, my step's finished, and I've got my onion, capsicum, and all those beautiful aromatics in there, sauteed beautifully with that high temperature mode, and the house smells amazing. So that's nice. And we're just going to add just a few more things now. So we've got 30 grams of tomato paste. So it just gives it a richness. So that was just a bought tomato paste, but of course you can make your own in the Thermomix. We've got a tin of canned tomatoes. I always use this brand because I think they're the best. And so that's a tin of diced tomatoes and 1 teaspoon of the beautiful chicken stock paste. So this time of year, I always have chicken stock paste in my in my freezer. I might always make a batch every time this time of year, and I keep it in my freezer. As you can see, it very easily scoops out with a spoon because of the salt content, doesn't freeze solid. So goes into the freezer because I just don't use it quite as often as my veggie one, which is in the fridge. Okay, so that's that. And now we're going to add our marinated chicken. Now, with this dish, you may find that you prefer to use the butterfly to move the chicken around. It tends to get not break up quite as much. I'm not going to bother with it today, but as you can see, that beautiful marinated chicken that was in our bowl is going into our other bowl. And done. It's very full. There's a lot of food in there. Press next. Going to turn the lid. Put the lid on, and we're using the slow temperature mode, the slow cook mode, as you can see. But the great thing about this slow cook recipe is that it really doesn't take that long. So it's an hour and a half in the cook. So, you know, if push comes to shove and you start cooking dinner at 4, you can still have a beautiful slow cook meal on the table by 6. So, you know, pop it on, go and do your mum taxi or whatever other things that you have to do in the afternoon, and have it slowly cooking in the background and waiting for you when you get home. So it's a beautiful dish. I'd love you to try it. I'd love to get some feedback. When I finish this, I will take a photo of it and put it on my socials, which I think Naomi will post onto the chat. So if you want to join me there, you can. And if you love curries and you'd like to see another chicken curry, we have the beautiful creamy coconut chicken curry as part of our demo matrix. So if you really enjoy curries and you'd like a little bit more inspiration and see some layered cooking, The creamy coconut chicken curry with cauliflower rice is a great dish to get your consultant over to cook with you and a couple of friends. It's always fun. Hope you've enjoyed it tonight. Thanks, Ilham.
Thank you, Kay. And what we'll do is we'll also share that the photo in our, I'm just going to add my spotlight, sorry. We'll also share that photo, Kay's photo, in our different suburb. We have suburb groups of consultants. So we've got MacArthur, Wallandilly, we've got ACT, and we've got Southern Coast. I can't remember what that group is called, but yeah, we've got groups, and we'll just share the photo in every group.
South Coast Mixers.
There we go. That's it. Okay, let me just, before we continue, I'm going to actually share the end result to Mary's dish, if that's okay with you guys. I'm just not going to share sound because it's just a song playing in the background, because it is actually on my reels on my Instagram, and so it's just a funny song in the background, but I'll just show you what the video looks like. Okay. Oh,
Yum.
It's so delicious, and honestly, like, it's a restaurant quality meal, and you would pay good money to have lamb shanks out at an Italian restaurant. Like, you think about how much money you would spend on lamb shanks, at least like probably $20 or $30, I reckon, at a restaurant.
Yep.
Definitely.
$30, $35.
Yeah.
So yeah, instead of spending that money, just make it yourself. And there's actually another, I know Naomi shared Mary's recipe, but there's a similar recipe with roasted garlic mash with it, and it's absolutely divine. And that's actually the one that I showed in that reel that I just, or that video I just showed. But thank you guys for joining us. I'm so sorry that we had lots of technical issues this evening. Next month, our cooking class is going to be on Wednesday, the 9th of August. The link to register, we'll send it to the email with the email for today's the copy, the email that we're sending out today with all the links for the recipes and accessories that we use. It's going to be about the team. Well, the theme will be Team 5 and the cookie, because we find that a lot of our Team 5 customers sometimes still struggle with synchronizing and that sort of thing on the device. So we're going to concentrate on that next month. But feel free, Team 31 and Team 6 customers, feel free to join us too, because we are still going to be cooking recipes that you can cook in your models too. So you're not going to be missing out, but we are going to help our Team 5 customers with next month's cooking class. And then if you do love face-to-face cooking classes, where you can sample the food, we do have cooking classes at various locations. So speak to your consultant for more info on that. Or why not host an intimate cooking class of your own, also known as a demo, so that you can get some amazing host rewards, and you can try different menus. Every time you host, you're not limited to only one or two. You can host as many cooking experiences or demos as you like, and you can choose different menus every time. And we've got amazing new recipes that we've added to the menu matrix. So feel free to speak to your consultant about that too. And last but not least, the best way to learn about your Thermomix is to become a consultant. So if you've enjoyed tonight's class and you love presenting and you love like sharing food and you've just got a passion for your Thermomix, then we'd love you to join our team. Please speak to your consultant about that too, and we'd love to have you. Ladies, does anybody want to say anything before we head off? And we on the dot, 8:29. We're 1 minute early, guys.
I just want to say thank you, because every time I do one of these classes, whether I attend it or whether I present at it, I'm always shown a different recipe that I want to make. So I love the inspiration from watching these.
Yeah, and we get to, as a consultant, and I hope our customers to go out and go back and try these recipes too. So I hope we inspire you and motivate you to use your Thermomix more, because that's the point of having a Thermomix, right? So yeah, feel free to stay on if you have any questions, but have a good evening. If anybody wants to say anything, happy for you to comment or say anything.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Night, Kay. Nice to see you.
For joining.
I'm just going to stop the recording for you, Ilham.
Thank you so much.